Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show tonight. Tonight's guest we have live from Chicago, Illinois, Rafi Peterson. Sam is there as well. Uh, this is our fourth series of the Chicago to San Francisco televised show, live show. And we're talking to the brothers in Chicago about the situation that's been going on for a while. They haven't had a budget in the last 3 years. My understanding the budget was just recently passed, and we're talking about formerly incarcerated coming home from prison and the condition that they're coming into. So we want to turn it over to the brothers in Chicago. Welcome to the show, my brothers.
Assalamu alaikum. How you doing?
What they can sound good, good, good. How you brothers doing in Chicago?
Cold. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I
Trying to
know,
stay warm.
I know it is. I know it is. Hey, we want to briefly bring up to speed what's going on in Chicago now as far as the budget. My understanding, I talked to Sam a couple of days ago. It said that the budget was just recently passed. So how's that going on right now?
It's hopefully trying to stay optimistic about it. So the budget was stalled between 2015 and 2017, and it was primarily a beef between Rauner, our governor, and the attorney general, I believe,
Okay.
or the Senate.
Sam, could you come over just a little bit? There you
Yeah,
go. Now we see both of
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So the budget crisis was really caused between a conflict between Rauner and Madigan, Republican and Democratic elected officials. But because it was passed in 2015, able to increase taxes just a bit, the corporate tax and the income tax, and hopefully, I think that from the number that I remembered reading was it was 7 million that would bring to the state. But unfortunately, during those 2 years, we actually in Illinois, the deficit got to 15 billion in debt. So
Okay.
we're kind of in a tough hole. But hopefully, trying to stay on the positive side of things. Our election's coming up, so there is a chance to put a governor in that has a more progressive tax system to kind of bring money back into the state's pockets, as well
Right.
as kind of put a budget for the Chicago public schools and kind of we have the opportunity now to put into official and kind of demand that mass incarceration reform and funding prison programs and programs that deal with returning citizens
Right.
kind
Right.
of put that on the agenda. If we raise awareness and we show how important this is, and kind of, yes, this is a big problem and it's affecting a lot of people's lives, but the fortunate thing is that there is a solution, and you just have to work towards it. Just like with
Right.
any other problem that our society faces or that we face day to day, it's just about putting in the work before that. So hopefully with this new election, we can put in a governor that actually sees this as a priority. So
Right.
that's why I said kind of in a hole, but hopefully moving forward into 2018 and the years on, that we can actually start working towards
Okay.
a positive solution to this
Okay.
problem.
Now the objective is to bring our programs back into prison.
Right.
Right.
Because as we mentioned in the first one, the education programs, for guys in there and women to get degrees and certificates to kind of give them skills to when they come home, they're actually marketable in the
Exactly. Right.
job market, that they
Right.
can kind of sell themselves.
Exactly.
If you can't get a degree and you can't learn something new, you can't learn a skill, what's going to happen when you come home? You're going to go back to the things that you're used to. And
Right.
it's
Right.
me not being from that lifestyle. It's really easy to see how someone can do that. So
Sure.
if it's that obvious, clearly we need to do something and work on that. So
Well,
hopefully moving into 2018, we can get funding for universities to start programs for individuals in prison or jail to kind of learn some new stuff.
exactly. Well, the thing is that we know how they go in. We want them
Right.
to come out different from what they were when they went in, and that is to educate them while they're there, so they can come home and they can get these jobs that they didn't qualify for before they went to prison. So once they go in and get educated, they qualify for certain jobs, and they can pass the test with no problem. So that's what we want to do. We want to get funds in prison so they can be educated to come home and be part of the society what they left.
Right.
Better than they were when they went in. You know.
Absolutely.
So the thing is now is rehabilitation, reentry. The reentry thing is coming home and having somewhere to come to, a support system, and that's what Rafi. That's where you come in.
Yeah. I really believe it has to be a holistic approach. What Sam was just saying about the budget, how they affect it. In the prison system, because of the budget, the first thing that they cut was all of the educational programs and whatnot. They stopped letting the guys get Pell Grants.
Okay.
to get a bachelor's degrees and stuff. So and they cut back on
Move over a little bit.
other programs.
Move over a little bit so we can see.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
And so what we have looked at and what we have been doing for the last 15 years almost is looking at the holistic approach of getting with the brothers and when they come home and providing these 7 basic things that we deal with. First and foremost, we just had a end of the year celebration. Where the end of the year for 20 years, made 20 years for Iman just recently. Okay. But one of the young brothers in the program who's trying to turn that corner, perfect example, is that he was murdered. He went with his family last Saturday, I think it was, and he with his family, and his past caught up with him. Mm-hmm. So one of the first things that I recommend, and one of the reasons we started a transitional home like we did out of the old area where brothers came from, is that we believe if we take the shelter and food and provide that for them, we give them, that's number 1. We give them 2, health and mental wellness and the post-stress treatment. 3 is safety. And when I mean safety, I mean both physical as well as emotional and mental, where brothers can actually speak their mind.
Rafi,
and
Rafi, can I
yes,
get you to move over a little bit so we can see who you
okay.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
There you go.
And speak their mind, safety in both physical as well as emotional and mental, so that we deal with the whole being. You know yourself, coming home, we have anger management issues. Right. We also dealing with post-stress. Right. As well as being able to deal with having patience to deal with a child, a woman, or anyone who we normally haven't been around, right, socializing with. So we go through the whole thing concerning how to speak freely concerning issues that are problems to the individual. I think that's critical, because what might be a problem for me or you might not be a problem for the next brother. Exactly. Or vice versa. Exactly. So we got to deal with what's concerning issues for him at that time, like family, the children, reuniting in a positive atmosphere, under controlled circumstances, because a lot of times, issues somebody bring up, you just came home doing a 20-year bit, and somebody bring up something you did 20 years ago before you went to the penitentiary, right, and they trying to hold you accountable for that. Right. And they ain't even giving you a chance to speak your mind, right, so we don't have to deal with all of that. And then it's just quality time for them to do quality time where they can reflect, just quiet time, Right. The job training is probably one of the most hardest things me and Sam been bumping heads about and talking about things. I know that everyone can't go to college. Right. But a lot of brothers can learn soft skills with their hands. And if you can do good quality work with your hands, be a carpenter, build porches, make cabinets or something like that, fix cars, then you can feed yourself. Sure. These are some of the things we do. And then trying to start, actually, as Famin was saying the last time he was on, they actually that's what he's working on with his friends and family of prisoners. They're trying to actually develop programs that develop those soft skills, right, because we have thousands of brothers coming home in the next 5-6 years from the prison, right, because they emptying them out now. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, they still holding a lot of brothers because there's nowhere for them to go. Their family, their mother, their father might have died, or anybody, so they don't have a place that they can go to for that comfort, that shelter, and that food, where they don't have to come out trying to touch down and immediately they got to pay rent.
So let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
In the prison system in Illinois, if you are a lifer and if you don't have a place to parole, do they self-parole you or do they just keep you?
Absolutely.
They keep you.
I mean, right now, everybody got to see in Illinois. I don't know how they do it in Cali now, but in Illinois now, they do the sex offenders, register them. Right. Now they're doing the murderers. And it's don't got so bad in Illinois that if you was convicted of a gang-related homicide, so to speak, as a juvenile, 15, 16, you got sentenced as an adult. When you come home, they make you register as a sex offender.
Oh, really? Is that right?
Yeah, you register under that offender that you did something to a child. You understand what I'm saying?
Really?
So here, that's classified as a sex offender.
So you go into prison for a murder,
gang banging,
Forget.
and you banging, and you kill somebody your age as a juvenile, and you was a juvenile. You then they sentence you as an adult. When you come home, you got to register for that, like you did something you was harmed a child.
Wow, is that right? Is that right? No, it's not happening in California like that. That's completely different, and that's a law that shouldn't be in place. Okay,
And that's what Sam was saying about hopefully, when you in a hole, the first thing you got to do is recognize you in the hole and stop digging.
exactly, exactly.
And we're hoping that the economy that he's talking about, this 15 billion deficit that they got here now, that they got to look at some ways to get a bang for their buck. And if we can establish and create a model that and bring it to scale that works, like I'm saying about these things, because who better know what we need than those of us who've been home? I've been home 20 years.
Right.
I've been in the trenches working with the brothers for 20 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know, met Taki and worked for Coca-Cola and stuff after 14, 15 years in the feds.
Right.
You did? And Famine, 20-something years.
Right.
So we got the experience. So what we're trying to do is actually hone and sharpen this model that we're trying to present.
Okay.
And then go hopefully with the new administration, because they're looking for non-for-profit as well as small community-based organizations to help, because they know that they in the hole that they don't know how to get out of.
Right.
So they turn into community-based organizations, non-for-profits, you know what I'm saying, and brothers like ourselves to try to come up with something. How did you do what you doing? How did you make that turn?
Yeah, exactly.
How do you make the transition?
Right.
You know, and then stay out.
Exactly.
And so that's the thing that we're trying to really focus on. And we know that these are the 7 steps that we have been using for the last almost 15 years. So I believe that this works because I'm a product of the other brothers that are a product of it. You met some of them at our retreat,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, right.
And
right.
so
And the brothers are doing outstanding. You know, come home and doing outstanding. We haven't had a lifer yet that's come home and failed. You know, we put in the books that when we come home, failure is not an option. You know, we coming out here and we supposed to be out here and we gonna put the work in to be out here. You know, and that's what a brother got to put in mind, that when we come home from long periods of time, failure is not an option. We're not going back. You know,
Absolutely.
If we go back, we might not make it back. You see, we might not make it back out. So we got to stay out here where we're rightfully supposed to be and put in work to stay out here, because it takes work to be out here.
absolutely.
You know, it's not a given.
And the same traps if we go back, and that's one of the things where if you go back to doing, like Sam mentioned earlier, when a brother feel frustrated and he don't know where to turn, what do? He go back to what he knows.
What he knows.
And
That's right.
It's simple that I think it was Einstein said that the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior.
Exactly.
But also, if you continue to do what you've done in the past, you're gonna get the same results.
Exactly.
And many of brothers 2 and 3 times. See, we haven't had that recidivism rate.
Exactly.
Because we're working on what we know really works.
Exactly.
You get a brother a job where he can make some livable wage, but you
Right.
got to train him. But you also got to go along with that. He got to be emotionally stable.
Exactly.
He got to be able to take instruction from his boss.
Exactly.
Everything ain't gonna go his way.
Exactly.
He got to understand that you can't win every
You
hand.
can't win. You can't win. You know,
You got to realize what at stake, just like you just said.
Exactly. We are
You did.
creatures of habit. We do the same thing over and over. We go back to what we know. But sometimes we have to be educated into other things.
Absolutely.
Education is a lifetime commitment. You constantly getting trained and doing certain things. When people
Yes.
coming home, they have to keep that in mind. When they start the transition inside, they got to continue when they come home. Got to
Absolutely.
complete the transition. It's an ongoing job. You know?
Absolutely. Some of us used to read a book a week or more, and then we get out and we stop reading.
Exactly.
You
gotta
know
keep
what I'm
on
saying?
reading.
And we need to continue, like you say, continue that education, because education, like you say, is a life pursuit.
Exactly.
From the cradle to the grave.
Exactly.
You know, and we got to keep going because things change. And you know, like these phones they give us every 6 months, it's a new thing coming out.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm
The
still
technology. You think about it. We showing our age now, but you know, me and you, we way past that 50 mark. You know what I'm saying? Now think about it. Whoever thought you'd be able to talk to a phone
I'm telling you.
and tell it and give it instructions and it responds?
I'm telling you, the Jensens.
You see? And so here these brothers is, and we don't have that situation. You don't went through it. I don't went through it. Where you come home and we talking and brothers on the cell phone,
Yeah.
we ain't never seen a cell
Yeah,
phone.
that's real. That's real. That's real. Never seen one before. You know, what is this? How you cut it on? Yeah, that's real.
And these people talking about producing now driverless cars.
Yeah, yeah. So
Brother, it's a culture shock that we got to deal with
exactly,
too when they come home.
exactly. We got that's also so we got to bring when the brothers come home, and the sisters come home. We got to include the sisters. When the sisters and brothers come home, we have to give them what the now. We got to give them what's going on now. Not opposed to
Right.
what was going on 20 years ago, or 30 years ago.
Absolutely.
What's going on now, and you got to adjust to this. Institutionalized, we got to get rid of that real fast. Okay, because ain't nobody
Absolutely.
washing clothes for you, ain't nobody fixing food for you, ain't nobody making your bed, ain't nobody doing things for you no more. You got to come home, you got to readjust real quick out here because things are
Yeah.
moving and it's not slowing down. You know, so
Yes.
we have to educate the brothers coming and sisters coming home to come into a support system that we have for them, and we can move them right along as they should be moved. You know, the jobs, the applications, how to fill applications, resumes, and different things that they need to do. You know,
Rebuilding their credit.
exactly.
And debts owed. You're going back and checking them debts that you might have left
Right.
on the street that you thought you didn't own,
Right.
even if you owed something to Com Ed or one electrical company or
Right.
gas,
Right.
and it was
You
in your name when you left.
Right. You
That bill is still on you.
It's still in your name.
There a lot of times.
Right.
You got to figure out how to deal with that and then try to rebuild because we need credit. This
Right.
is America.
It's mandatory.
You can't stay in a hotel if you ain't got a credit card.
That's right.
I don't care how much money you got in your pocket.
That's right. You gotta have a
You know
credit
what I'm
card.
saying? You got to have it. You can't rent a car with
right.
just cash no more. You gotta have credit.
Exactly.
You know, so we got to show them how to do that, and it's a process that they got to go through with that.
Sure.
And then we got to tell them right off the top, you got to get them savings accounts and checkings account.
Right.
And that savings account is the major thing because oftentimes in America they say 80% of people in America is what? 2 checks, 3 checks away from being put out.
That's right.
You know,
That's
for the
right.
most
That's right.
part.
That's
And
right.
that ain't just in our community.
Yeah.
That's
Every
America.
community. That's every
You know what
community.
I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
we are mad consumers.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we got to show the brothers how to shop and the deals.
That's right.
And don't be caught up in name brand things.
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
much.
Exactly.
You did?
Exactly. Yeah.
You
Exactly.
did? Not name brands. You did what I'm saying?
We have to educate.
So we got to. It's these little lessons, life lessons that these the keys that we give them to try to open up these doors to keep them out here once they get out.
Right. Right. Yeah. And as you say, to keep them out once they get out, that's what it's about. We can't allow them to come home and fall back into the same cesspool. Okay.
I don't know what the time limit is in Cali, but here the average inmate recidivates something like 60% or more, I think it is, within 18 months.
Yeah. It's the same thing, Kelly.
You dig what I'm
Same
saying?
thing.
And that ain't number a year and a half. That's why one of the reasons. The other thing that we propagate to the brothers is this: you just finished doing 20 years, or 15 years, or a decade. Do at least 18 months for you when you get out here.
Right.
Just concentrate on yourself.
On you. Just you.
Just concentrate on you.
Right.
I mean, talk to the family and do what you got to do with the family and try and build them up. But the major things, because you're not in the position, until you first get in the position to do something for yourself, you can't do anything else for nobody else.
Exactly. Exactly.
You got to be able to help yourself before you can help somebody else.
Exactly.
Oftentimes what happens, people put that artificial pressure on themselves thinking that they got to jump down and bam, they're going to hit it. And the other thing that I think we do a lot, and I've seen over the years, is that brothers try to act like they haven't been gone. And then they get back and try to act like what they see around them act. But I tell brothers all the time, you need to respect that time that you did where you did it at. Because that individual that tempting you with whatever he flashing or she flashing, they didn't do that time like you did.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
And they're not going to do the time when you get violated.
That's
You
right.
know what I'm saying?
That's right. You're gonna be one gone.
They look, they get a ticket or a fine, you go back to the joint.
That's right. That's a fact. Coming in contact, and you're going back. That's a violation automatically.
You know?
So and like you say, a lot of people come on and they forget that.
Yeah.
When they leave R&R and come on with that book, something that they signed, that agreement they signed to come on.
Huh?
If you violated any of these here, because you sign it when you leave before you leave.
Right.
If you sign this here, you are making a commitment to this paper, everything that's on it. So read it before you leave. If you don't know how to read it, have them read it to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Understand what it says, because a lot of people can't read. So if you can't understand, have them read it to you so you can understand what you're reading. So you sign it when you go home. If you cross that line where it say out of bounds, that red sign, you out of bounds.
And absolutely. And the other thing, and we had these conversations, even with the circles that we've been doing, and like what we doing at our retreat when we have what's, keeping it real and what's really going on. One of the things I tell the brothers, protect yourself. And what I mean by that is this: if don't get in the vehicle with nobody that you can't pat them down.
That's right. That's right.
Can you ain't got to worry about the police patting you down, because he get caught with a joint, you go back to
you going back.
You go to the joint.
Right.
He get a ticket, you going to the joint.
That's right. You going back. That's a fact. That's a
he
fact.
got something dirty in the car, then
That's
check that. If
right.
and then tell people up front, if you can't stand the shakedown,
yeah,
by me,
that's right. You can't get in.
I ain't getting in the vehicle.
Yeah.
And you definitely ain't getting in my vehicle when I get me one.
Well, you know what I tell people all the time, Rafi? People ask me, hey, can I get a ride? I said, you haven't had a ride in 27 years. You haven't had a car in 27 years. I've been going for 27 years, 9 months. You mean you haven't had a car in 27 years? Well, you can't ride in mine because I got a car within 2 or 3 years. I got a car. So you can't ride in mine. So no, you can't get a ride. And I don't feel bad about it.
That's right. That's right. You got to protect yourself.
You got to learn how to say no today.
Rights on you.
That's right.
Give your rights back to yourself.
That's
Just
right.
like our bodies got rights, we got to take care of ourselves. We got to feed ourselves right.
First.
We got to sleep right.
That's right.
The same thing. Take your rights and give them back to yourself. And we teach that. It's basic, common things that we do. It's not real complicated. It's the simple thing, because that's the alphabet. You got to learn the alphabets before you can write a word, right?
That's right.
And then you got to know your alphabets, how to put a sentence together.
Yeah.
You got then a paragraph.
Yes.
Then a couple of pages, then a book.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? But you got to learn them alphabets. It's the same thing. Stick to the basics.
That's right. My brother, we have come to the end of our show tonight. But look, we got another one coming up in a couple of weeks. Okay. We want to get it right and get it on the TV, because we want people to see this, and we want them to know what's going on in the town.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir. Indeed.
So we coming back, I think, on the 21st, I believe it is. We're back on the air from 6:30 to 7, and we're gonna air this on YouTube. Be on YouTube tomorrow at 12 o'clock, and people will see this and know what's going on in the town.
Okay, beloved.
Okay, so
and I'm like Rahmatullah Rabbi car too, beloved.
So
love you, man. Love you, brother.
Keep on doing what you're doing. You brothers keep on doing what you're doing. I'm proud of you, brother.
Same here.
Yes,
you're looking good, man. You're looking good. You're dapper all the time.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.